Okay. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our homeowners insurance webinar. I'm Elaine Sciacca with Coldwell Kappel Gateway Realty, here with Stacey Sandoe.
Hello.
And I'm also here with our homeowners insurance expert, Marjorie Traywick with Yoder Insurance.
Hello, everyone.
And we're going to dive right in here to talk to you all about your homeowners insurance needs and what you need to know.
So why do I have to have homeowners insurance when I'm buying a house? The core of any insurance plan is to offer you protection. Providing protection and mitigating your risk is the simple motive of insurance. It turns out homeowners insurance isn't required by law, but just like buying sunscreen, it may help you avoid a lot of trouble in the long term. And your mortgage lender will require homeowners insurance to protect your home. So whether you're thinking of buying a house or you're already in the process, homeowners insurance is definitely a term that you'll come across, and we're here to discuss what that insurance covers. So Marjorie, what do you think the most important thing to look for in an insurance company is?
Really the most important thing, not necessarily with just the company itself, it's really looking over and making sure that your insurance agent is explaining what the coverage is and how you are being covered. Cheaper is not always best. There's a lot of times where people or agents will bring down that dwelling amount to bring down your premium just to get a deal closed. And what will happen is after your closing, they're going to reevaluate that dwelling and actually bring your premium back up to where it's supposed to be. So it's really important, especially first-time home buyers. They've never purchased home insurance before. It's really important that they speak with an educated agent so they can explain how and what proper insurance is. One key point that I always point out is the dwelling amount that's on that deck page. We want to make sure, because homeowners insurance, a lot of people don't realize this, is actual fire insurance. We always get insurance, hopes that we pay it, hoping that we never have to use it. And like what Stacey had mentioned before, it's not actually, you don't have to have it. If you have a loan though, your lender is going to require it because they want to make sure their asset is protected if a fire were to occur and burn down the house. So I look at it as a worst case scenario and the house completely burns down and we need to rebuild that home. So there's things that go in consideration: lumber cost, what it costs for debris removal, codes increase, things like that actually bring up the cost to rebuild a home. So you always want to make sure, especially right now, that that dwelling amount is at least $200 to $250 a square foot to rebuild a house. That is what the cost is today. So you want to make sure, divide that cost by the square footage of the home and make sure that you're not less than $200 a square foot. If you are less than $200 a square foot, you're not going to be able to rebuild your home. Something that farmers actually implemented into their policies is also a 20% replacement cost on top of the dwelling amount. And that actually helps people, if the house were to burn down and it's an older home, to get it back up to code. You know, things change constantly with what homes should be built at and how they should be coded. So that actually protects them for that extra cost. Secondly is your personal liability. We live in the state of California, and the state of California is known for lawsuits. And I always look at liability for lawsuits. So it's protecting if someone were to come onto your property and get hurt. That liability, that personal liability, is protecting your assets, your 401k, your pension, anything that you have that is of value that you've worked hard for. Your agent needs to set aside and make sure that you are properly insured with your liability. If your home has a pool, you have a higher risk of people coming over, kids coming over, and someone might get hurt. You want to increase that liability amount to make sure if someone comes on your property, because even if you didn't know somebody came on your property and they go swimming in your pool and they get hurt, they can come around and go back and sue you. So we want to make sure that they are not able to get into your 401k, your equity in your home. So it's very important that you're just not talking to someone that's on a 1-800 number. You're talking with an educated agent that can ask the proper questions to make sure that you are properly insured. I would say those are the two key pieces that I really go over with a client or a potential client when it comes to insurance.
Awesome. That's a lot of good information there.
Good, I'm glad.
So why is I see on policies sometimes that the dwelling replacement cost is lower than what I bought the house for. We get those questions. What do you have to say to that?
Actually, that's a great question. I get that quite often because somebody might have a loan amount for $500,000, but their dwelling replacement cost is actually only $400,000 or $370,000. That's because you're also buying land. You know that your cost to purchase a home, if you're purchasing a home for $500,000, you're purchasing the land as well. So insurance doesn't cover the land. So there are times that you're going to have a higher loan amount than the actual dwelling amount. So it goes back to that whole $200, $250 a square foot replacement cost to make sure, and that's what it's going to cost to rebuild the house.
That's good to know.
Does that answer that question? Is that clear?
That actually was very clear. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's fire season's upon us, and for those communities that were damaged by fire, can we still get fire insurance in those high fire areas? Sorry, my tongue is just not working today.
Yeah, no, I know. Well, the subject alone will get you tongue-tied. You know, there are a lot of changes that are going on, especially there's a couple of things that I want to bring up. Yes, you can. If you are in a high fire risk area, if you're watching this even later, you can always text me as well. I help out a lot of agents and lenders if they are showing a property that they feel might be in a high fire risk. It's easy for me to look that up, and I can find out if you're going to qualify for just a regular home policy, or if you're actually going to need if it's more of a high risk fire. And you can get insurance, and it's actually through the California Fair Plan. So you'll have actually two policies in a high fire area. You're going to have insurance policy through Farmers, which will cover your liability, your personal property, and things like that, just like a regular home policy, but it will not insure if a fire were to occur. And that's where the California Fair Plan policy comes into play and will protect you if a fire were to occur. Now, word on the street is that the state of California and the insurance world, that they might start where all insurance policies will actually be two policies. So just be on the lookout for that. That's something that is the talks of the town, that in the state of California, because of our high fire risk everywhere, that they might actually require where it's a California Fair Plan to cover the fire costs, and then your regular home policy to take care of the liability, your personal assets and stuff there.
Okay. So from fire, we go to flood. So
yes.
Why do we need flood insurance?
Okay, so flood insurance, again, is not required if you're paying cash for a house. And it is separate from your home policy. Flood insurance and earthquake insurance and umbrellas are completely separate from a regular home policy. So if your lender is requiring that you get flood insurance, there are a couple things that you can do. You can actually speak with an agency where we can broker it out to a private flood company. Which ours happens to, Yoder Insurance with Farmers. We will, and the difference is that you've got FEMA, and FEMA is very expensive flood insurance. They look at a natural disaster as a whole, and a private flood company looks at the likelihood really of what that property itself will actually flood. So they rate your premium based off of that. That with private flood insurance, it all depends on the lender if they will accept it or not, okay? And that's where, again, I can be more than happy to assist, answer any questions. I know my phone number is going to be at the end of this, but yeah, flood will be required if it's in a flood zone and your lender. You can get a FEMA policy, which could range between $3,000. I mean, it can be fairly expensive. And then also you could do a private flood, which it's just going to look at the risk of the home itself, and it can be a lot less expensive too as well.
Okay. So obviously we have a pandemic going on, and everybody's having to rearrange how we do things in business. So what are you doing different in the insurance industry due to COVID-19?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. We actually, Justin Yoder, our broker at our office, when all of this first started to happen, we were looking into programs where all of our clients would be have easy access to. You know, you've got your older clients maybe that aren't as tech savvy. I'm in that generation where tech savviness should be my number one thing that I can do, and I'm not very tech savvy. So doing electrical signs like e-docs instead of relying on the client just to go into the website, sign up, and go in and sign. So we've made adjustments where we have all e-docs signatures that can be emailed over. I do a lot of appointments over Zoom and on FaceTime, and of course just by the phone. You know, you don't necessarily have to see somebody. Some people though, when you're dealing with their assets in their home, especially if we're going to get into more like me being your financial portfolio and having like life insurance and stuff, you kind of want to see that person face to face. So a lot of FaceTime and Zoom. And our current clients with farmers, I know we have offered different discounts for our customers during hardship for commercial, auto. Hasn't really hit the home side yet that I'm aware of, but definitely the auto side. And then in-person appointments have been set up, and we make sure all social distancing is in play as well.
Very good. Very, very good. So obviously you touched on auto insurance and other kinds of insurance. So do you want to tell us about what all you do?
Yeah, as you can see on the screen, so we all offer, you know, I offer home insurance, renters, condos, manufactured homes, earthquake, flood, and umbrella. And because that's our subject, that's what's on the board. There's great ways to get discounts. Everybody wants, you know, I had mentioned earlier, cheaper is not always the best. There's ways to get discounts with your insurance. So really every person is different. Somebody always asks me, well, what would my insurance be for this and for another person and for another person? Well, everybody's situation is different. If they have, you know, if I inherited money from my grandmother, I want to make sure that my assets are secure. So it's really nice to be able to have that conversation. And I look at my job and as an agent is I'm actually speaking with our clients as a whole. So I'm looking to talk about bundling their auto, their home, if they're in a situation where they actually should get an umbrella policy, which I think of an umbrella just like protecting, just like all of my home, my auto, everything that I own is under this, and that actually protects for lawsuits as well. Life insurance is something. So they all go hand in hand, and at our agency, I'm licensed in all of those and licensed for life insurance and of course property and casualty and commercial side of it. So it's really important that your agents are well-rounded and having that conversation with you that best suits your situation.
Great. Well, so how do we get a hold of Marjorie? And then the next slide should give us Marjorie. There she is.
There I am. You can email me, you can call me on my cell phone. We have an office here at 425 William Street in Vacaville. Yoder Insurance Agency has been around for almost 50 years. It's dad and his brother had started the agency. Now that his son is taking over with Justin Yoder and Derek Yoder. They have a great name, great reputation in town. That's the reason why I work for them. And you can always call me directly here at 707-685-3486, text message. I look at this too as my business. I don't actually look at it as I need to get a policy at that time. Yeah, it would be great. But if you are just inquiring and you kind of want somebody to just look over your policy to make sure that you're properly insured, I am more than happy to do that. Give me a call. Let's go over it, because I would rather our clients being properly insured if they go with me or not. Okay.
Great.
Excellent.
Thank you for
Absolutely.
joining us today and telling us a little bit more about what is insurance, because so many people don't realize how in depth it is. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me, you guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And then again, this was Stacey Sandoe with Coldwell Banker, Kappel Gateway Realty, and myself, Elaine Sciacca, bringing to you all the information you need for your home purchases and home insurance this time. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, ladies. Everybody have a great day. Bye.